it would be ridiculous to not at least tip the hat to Steph Curry, not just for the performance. It's just, I mean,
He's been doing this.
we've all
He's been doing this.
We've watched it and he's been doing it and he does it. And then every time you're like, what could he possibly do that's going to make me think even more of him? And then he goes and does it. And it almost seems unfathomable. And people talk about it like, you know, they were talking about him as like the most revolutionary or most important player in the last. He is. Like, is anybody, whatever? I mean, he's unreal. Brad Stevens talked about him a minute ago. We're gonna hear from Brad right now.
A lot of adverse things in the world, a lot bigger than watching Steph Curry shoot threes. So, you know, the smallest part of me enjoys it. I just hate competing against him. But man, do I love watching him. He is as fun to watch as any player because of his creativity, his mastery of shooting, and you just never feel good when you're an opponent. You always feel like you're the next line of a.
Well done, Brad.
Next line of a fairy tale.
Yo, it's been his entire tenure in Boston, if you think about it. Like, he literally, as soon as he came to Boston, it was boom.
That's when it got started.
Curry season, you know, Curry era.
But it's unreal, right? So, like, forget about, like, even basketball last 20 years, last 30 years, last 40 years, whatever you want to say. I mean, he's definitely the most entertaining player, and it's more fun to watch him hit threes from 40 feet than any friggin' dunk we've ever seen. So it's not even close there. But, like, in all sports, I don't know if there's anybody more exciting. Like, it's just the most fun thing to watch in the world. And I can't get enough of it. It's hard to root against him. Like, you almost want him to make the shots that beat your team. He's that friggin' good.
You just sit there.
You get caught. You're just like, this is amazing. Like, it goes in and you're smiling and you're like, wait, am I rooting for the other team? I forgot. It's not, you're not mad. You know, when Embiid scores, I want to friggin' jump through the screen, you know, and kill him. I'm so angry. When Curry scores, I'm like, that was awesome, man. You know, like
I was thinking when Luka hit that little floater shot for the win the other night, I'm like, I've never seen anything like that.
Luka's like that too, actually. I feel that way about Luka too. I mean,
well, that's how Curry is always shot, frankly. Like, when he shoots from three, it's like he's putting up a layup around the rim. It's just a touch. The touch factor, like he's hitting a little floater in the lane, but he's doing it from 35 feet, 40 feet. And what made me notice it was when he did that behind the back left-handed hook, because who's shooting offhand three-pointers? It was just ridiculous, that shot he hit through the and one with Grant jumping into him. That was one of the greatest shots I've ever seen in my life.
So this dude practices shots at home from the damn concourse area where they come out for games, a place that no one is ever going to ever make a shot from. Yet he practices it and he makes it a hell of a lot of time. So when he made that left-handed weird hook shot, was anyone surprised?
Yeah.
So what was?
Really. No, not at all.
No. That's why Kyrie's that amazing. Kyrie does that stuff too. He does all sorts of in his practice and his warm-ups. He's hitting 1 foot lefty, blah blah blah. All these creative shots that you have to hit when you're kind of doing weird stuff. You gotta try those. But Curry, exactly. He's used to shooting from 50, 60 feet, weird angles, all sorts of stuff. So I mean, you know, he gets a straight up 35 footer. He's like, this is a layup for me. You know, like.
But I tell you what though, Jayson Tatum has found that killer within. I did not anticipate that we would see this type of killer instinct consistency from Tatum right now, but damn. I mean, he's looking at all the big boys that show up in the building like Steph Curry, and he's like, what you got? I know you're great, but guess what? I'm going to get mine, and I'm going to get the W. He was great today. Great today.
He was
big
great.
Shots, attacking off the dribble. He did everything you want. He did everything that you expect a top 5, top 10 player to do.
Okay, let me say one thing since I didn't get to talk about Curry. I want to say a couple things about Curry, and I'll tie it into Tatum.
You want to go back to Jabari too? Did you watch some YouTube clips of Curry beforehand?
Yeah, so I just want to say I watched the Curry YouTube clip. I think he's going to be a player. No, but there are a few players. I mean, we're all lucky enough to cover a lot of.
He's Ray Allen 2.0, right?
We're all lucky enough to have covered a lot of NBA games in our lives, and there's a few players that, like, when they are in the arena, there's like a buzz about them being in the arena and the pregame and all that stuff. Steph Curry might be at the top of that list. And that includes LeBron and everybody. And I remember years ago when I was, Sherrod's right-hand man and John was doing the TV thing at NBC, we actually did like on
Curry
the web,
cam.
on the website, at least, Curry cam. This is pregame, and we got a ton of people watching
ridiculous.
because
Ridiculous
everybody
numbers.
wanted to see Steph Curry warm up. I mean, he's just shooting.
It was him
People
walking
were coming
around.
early.
Half of it was him like talking to someone, and it
That's
didn't
it.
matter. He had a ball under his arm. He's just talking to people. Then he's just dribbling lightly. Then he goes through his drills. He's got his little dribbling drill, then his shooting routine, and we just sat there. Curry cam.
And everyone's just the goo goo gaga as he's doing it, and it was
we were
like
dipping into it
captivating.
live on the show, not just running it on the web too. We were dipping in and out of Curry cam the whole show. Yeah,
and like that's just the type of. And I bet you he gets that everywhere he goes. That's just the type of player he is. And when he actually does put on a performance like tonight, it just totally lives up to all the hype, all the expectations. There are some players where like it's way beyond just for like doing for what they need to do for their team. I think they actually believe like they are entertainers. Like there are like the best players in the world believe it's their obligation to show up every game for the road, for the fans. There's a lot of people who expect to see greatness from these guys, and Curry's one of those guys that more often than not lives up to that wherever he goes. And like tonight was just one of those special nights. And to tie it into what Sherrod was saying about Tatum, I think he brings that out of other players. They see what's going on the other side, and they want to match that. And sometimes it takes greatness to sort of bring out greatness. And I think Curry definitely has that effect on a guy like Tatum, who answered the bell. All the credit in the world to Tatum tonight. They were going blow for blow down the stretch there. And the Celtics, had a very, one of their best wins of the season because of what Tatum was able to do. And of course he had some help. Kemba had that big three, and we haven't mentioned him, but Marcus Smart, that 3-pointer by Marcus was unbelievable. I mean, he faked the hell out of the defender there. The guy was doing, circles on the other side of the court.
He had a big offensive rebound late.
Big offensive rebound before that.
I mean, just the balls on Marcus too, because he airballed a three horribly. That makes him one. That makes him 1 for 8. Okay, and this was a please stop shooting Marcus sort of game. And then the next trip down, he hits a huge three and then hits that really big one late too. So he hit after starting 1 for 8, he bangs down his next two. Same thing, Kemba had gone in a little cold spell and he bangs down two. So
and one of those came after
clutch by really everyone tonight.
And I think one of those came after Brad's challenge. So that was a 6-point swing, which really changed everything that was kind of going on.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, you were surprised to see Brad win a challenge for once. I didn't think he was going to get it.
Well, let's get into
challenge.
Let's get into Tatum a little bit because we talked about this, right? I mean, we've talked about it a ton. The whole thing with him was getting the better shots, okay? Not settling, and driving more and doing there's no secret here that his latest run here of greatness coincides with him being much more aggressive going to the basket. Even though today he was in his bag with the old Tatum shots, a lot of in-your-face followaways and step backs. He had that going tonight too. So that's what gets you into the 45-point range, which is where he was tonight. But him just consistently going to the basket. There are sometimes he had people off balance all night. When he wanted it, he got it. If he wanted to get to the basket, he got there, and he was getting there uncontested half the time. This isn't. We've talked about the evolution. This is an evolution of Tatum's game, and one we've been dying to see. Even in his best moments, he shot great tonight. I still want to see him take it to the hoop a little bit more. Man, I mean, it is right, that makes him, virtually unguardable when he's when he's doing that and going downhill and getting buckets that way.
Right, no question. But I think the team as a whole, just the way they've been moving the ball movement, you get Tatum gets those opportunities to drive to the hoop easier when he's doing that. And obviously he has to do that as well. So I have to credit Tatum as well with his passing, because although you may not see it in the box scores because they're not they're not turning into assists all the time, but they definitely keeps the ball moving. And you notice how his teammates will make sure that he'll get the ball back at the end of that 24-second, because they're starting to realize that. I can honestly tell, throughout the last couple of games, especially tonight against the Warriors. And I think that when you look at Marcus Smart, someone like that who obviously, he's been in situations where he tries to do a little too much, or tries to take that big shot down the stretch. Yeah, he took the big shot down the stretch, but it was a good shot because the ball. Well, one, he started he got the offensive rebound to start the possession, but he's getting that ball back. You know, it's not a couple of passes destined to be a shot like it used to be Celtics, right? I mean, that's what used to drive me crazy. Like in their mind, it seemed like ball movement just seemed, just give a couple of passes and then you can decide what you want to do after that. You know, we're seeing 3 or 4, 5 passes sometimes during a possession, and maybe Jayson Tatum started that possession, but then he gets it back at the end a bit with a wide open look, or even better, a wide open lane for a layup.
There were a couple possessions tonight where he passed out those.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I was gonna say there were a couple possessions last night where
it
felt like he went up jacking threes in those spots, but tonight, again and again into the lane, finishing through contact. I almost never see him avoiding contact in lane anymore, which was amazing considering how recently he was still doing that. Probably as recently as last postseason.
Even beginning of this year, he still gets a little scoopy, with it.
Yeah.
Instead of going strong, it's always bugged me about how he goes. He lays it in like he finishes like
turns his
he finishes like a guard, like a small guy, like he's trying to sneak it by you instead of going up
like what
over
Kyrie,
you
what
through you.
Kemba did in this first layup. That's probably the best.
He tries to get cute. Right.
Yeah.
And shield it and finesse it instead of going strong. Like you're 6'10", you're going downhill. You should be taking it at people. So him finishing strong and finishing through contact, that's the thing we've been talking about. And when he came in a little bigger this year, people are like, okay, here it is. And he still wasn't really doing it. And to me, I think it's almost a choice, which just, I'm going to do this now. And that's what he's been doing. I think it makes a difference. And I'm no doubt, Josue, the ball movement and the inside outside but today was just we're down all of our stars. Here's the ball, Jason, go score kind of game. And he just did it on his own. It wasn't all ball movement. He was dribbling the air out of the ball sometimes. He was just like, screw it, I'm going to score.
Yeah, he was just like, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
That third quarter between him and Steph was crazy.
It was awesome.